There is a place in the southernmost reaches of Hernand where the reeds grow golden and thick, swaying endlessly against a sky that never quite decides between dusk and daylight. The wind moves through them like something alive, a low, restless sound, as if the earth itself were trying to say something it cannot quite find the words for. They call it Reedwind Valley. The reeds catch the light differently at every hour. Amber in the morning, pale silver near noon, burning deep orange when the sun falls low. There is a rhythm to this place, a stillness beneath the movement. But the people of Hernand do not come here to admire the view. They know what lies beneath those roots. They know what the wind is whispering. And they know that those who linger too long, those whose hearts carry a particular kind of wound, sometimes stop hearing the wind at all. They start hearing something else instead. Something that sounds faintly like a voice. To understand the valley, you must first understand the village it shelters. Sunset Valley sits at the edge of everything. A small collection of lives built by people who had no other place to go. The sick, the poor, the forgotten. It was not founded so much as it accumulated, the way wreckage accumulates after a storm. Slowly, quietly, one broken thing at a time. It lives independently of the world outside, isolated. The mountain at its back, the mountain of frozen souls, the locals call it, keeps the cold in and the rest of Hernand out. What happens in Sunset Valley tends to stay in Sunset Valley. It was a place where things could be buried. Some distance north, the world looks very different. Glenbright Manor rises from the fertile heart of Count Alistair Grace's estate. The House of Grace is one of the old families of Hernand, venerable and careful in its presentation, known for its generous patronage of the Emberwind workshop, the prosperity of the towns under its charge, and the rich agricultural yields of Glenbright Farm, the largest in all of Hernand. They are respected. They are wealthy. They are, to all appearances, the kind of family that a region can be proud of. There are, of course, rumors. Count Alistair Grace had a son. His name was Aldrin. What happened between a father and that son is the kind of history that families of standing work very hard to ensure no one ever fully assembles. It lives in fragments, in half-spoken accusations, in the memory of a butler standing stiffly before his lord, receiving instructions that would not be written down. Aldrin Grace contracted leprosy, the disease that, in those times and in those social circles, was spoken of as something deserved, as evidence of a fundamental wrongness in the person afflicted. Alistair Grace had built a name on appearances, on the idea of noble blood, of fitness for a family's legacy, of the kind of air a count could present to the world with his chin raised. Aldrin was no longer that. His mother recoiled from his touch. Aldrin emerged from his room one day because he could no longer bear to stay inside it, and what met him in the corridor was cold, final, and without any of the hesitation that love might have warranted.
Mother, it wasn't me. In this state, how could I have done it?
Oh, Phil! Don't touch me! Stay back!
I told you to stay quiet in your room. If you crawl out to cause a scene.
I couldn't bear any longer.
I'm sick of this! Take this and get out of my sight!
Alistair spoke to his butler privately. The butler had served the House of Grace long enough to understand the language of such conversations. The careful words that men of power use when they want something done that cannot be spoken plainly. Driving him out was not enough. The Count wanted it finished, quietly.
Forgive me, my lord. You couldn't manage one simple task. Don't you see he's a stain on this house? Every moment spent beneath the same roof sickens me. Yes, my lord. If he had any sense, he'd run off himself. Driving him out isn't enough. Make arrangements to see it finished. Quietly. As you wish, my lord. Do you have a place in mind? Toss him in the reed fields, for all I care. Certainly. Right away. Our family's honor is at stake. No one must ever know.
Glenbright Manor continued its business. The cloud carts rose. The harvests were plentiful. The Count's reputation remained intact enough. No one asked after Aldrin Grace. No one was meant to. He did not die. Whatever was meant to happen to him in those reed fields to the southwest, Aldrin Grace survived it. He wandered south, into the margins, into the places where people go when they have been removed from the world. He found Sunset Valley. There was a simple house in the village with no clear owner. Inside that house, there was a shrine, masked scarecrows, carefully made, each one bearing the same etched word, sorrow. A mask of the reed devil itself was among them. A copy of a book called Tales of Sunset Valley. Evidence, assembled slowly, of a mind that had turned its grief into craft and its craft into something more. The man who made these things needed a friend. The villagers said as much of the nameless craftsman, shunned by all, outcast. He had made companions of straw and wood and painted expressions because no living thing would sit beside him. The leprosy had followed him here. The people of Sunset Valley had their own experiences with that disease. The village itself had grown partly from those exiled by it. But knowing suffering does not always breed compassion. Sometimes it breeds only the desire to protect oneself from further suffering. They shunned him too. By this point, the distinction between a man turned against the world and a world turned against a man had ceased to matter. The result was the same either way. Even here, among the already shunned, Aldrin Grace was alone. The land beneath those golden reeds is old. Older than Aldrin. Older than the House of Grace. Long before any of this, those fields were a shunned expanse where lepers were cast to rot. A place where the sick were sent so that the healthy would not have to look at them. But the graves there held more than lepers. More corpses came in on stretchers than there were ever sick men to fill them. Those whose deaths had to remain unspoken. Those slain in secret. Those silenced so they would tell no tales. All were thrown here, tangled together in shallow, nameless graves. The kind of graves that are not really graves at all. Just earth pressed down over something, with the expectation that the earth will keep quiet. Then came a great stone from the heavens. No one recorded when. No one was watching. It fell into that ground, soaked with grief and malice, and the reeds began to grow. Unnaturally thick, unnaturally lush. And in the wind that moved through them, faint, dying whispers. The book found in that abandoned house describes what rose from those grounds. The grudges buried beneath the reeds gave birth to a wraith, a thing that reaches for the living, but not indiscriminately. It hunts those whose hearts are eaten through with hate. It finds the ones already hollowed out, already standing at the edge of something they cannot come back from, and it offers them a voice, a whisper that sounds like company, a presence that feels like the first thing that has ever understood you. And anyone who comes to believe that this whisper is their only counsel, anyone who feels the whole world has turned its back, will find their scarecrows beginning to move. The straw men rise, companions become kin, and the chosen are coaxed quietly, patiently, toward a vengeance that will hollow them out completely. Masked like lepers, denied all peace, haunting forever the land that took them. Aldrin Grace had been denied peace his entire life. He had been cast out by his father. recoiled from by his mother, thrown into the very fields where the forgotten were buried. He had survived, wandered, found a village of the forgotten, and been forgotten there too. He had made scarecrows because he needed something to stand beside him. The valley gave him more than that. The devil of the reed fields is not, at its heart, an inexplicable force of evil. The tales of Sunset Valley are precise about this. The sinful would rather dismiss this devil as some inexplicable force of evil. But it was this corrupt world that filled its belly with malice. It tormented Glenbright Manor. It tormented the farms that fed the prosperity of the House of Grace. It came back to the estate that had thrown it away. When Cliff stands before it, the creature speaks in the language of a man still inside his wound, still inside the moment his father gave the order. Every doorway that was closed to him, every hand that recoiled, every word that named him a stain.
Impressive, but you will still die by my hand. One way or another.
It does not elaborate. The weight of what that sentence carries is sufficient.
Do you see what I truly am?
It is not a taunt. It is a question from something that has spent so long being seen as monstrous that it has forgotten whether anything else was ever true of it. In its second phase, the voice changes. The grief curdles into something sharper.
Die! How can such a creature claim to bear my noble blood? You are not even alive! Shuffle off this mortal coil and honor our family with your death!
It is Alistair Grace's voice, almost word for word. The contempt. The reduction of a human being to a problem that needs solving. Aldrin has swallowed his father so completely that he cannot separate the wound from the one who made it. He speaks the language of the cruelty that destroyed him. When the final phase comes, there is only one thing left to say.
Behind this mask lies unstoppable suffering. Then I'll shatter it. You may kill this single form, but you cannot kill me. Stand and fight! The grudge born by this mask shall live on within every hate-filled heart.
The devil is right. The grudge does not die with the creature. It lives in the machinery of what was done. In every household that treats a sick child as a stain. In every order given quietly to a servant. In every mother who pulls back her hand. In every community that builds its belonging on the exclusion of those it decides it cannot stomach. Aldrin Grace was not born a devil. He was made one, slowly, by accumulation. By the reed fields that swallowed the discarded. By the stone that fell from the sky into that grief-soaked earth. By a world that had no room for him and expected his silence on the matter. What this story does that the others have not is ask a different kind of question. Not who is the enemy, not where is the threat, but what does the world do to people when it decides they are inconvenient? The Black Bears, Ludwig, Cassius Morton, all of them made choices. Aldrin Grace had his choices made for him before he was old enough to resist them. There is something in that worth sitting with. Cliff shattered the mask. The suffering behind it was real. And the grudge, as the devil said, lives on in every hate-filled heart that was filled by someone else's cruelty first. The scarecrows still stand in the valley. The wind still moves through the reeds. The whispers are still there, for those who listen long enough.